Big shot.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay. Conservation Commission meeting. Okay. So good afternoon.
Wait a minute.
One moment, please.
We're streaming live to YouTube and.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So this is the Conservation Commission of Waterville Valley, Tuesday, November 15th. And we're calling to order at 3:04. And a quick roll call. Can we start with you, sir?
Charles Hastings, member.
Rebecca Hastings, member.
Cindy Picos, alternate.
Garrett Levy, chair.
John Racine, ex officio member.
Jenny Lucas, vice chair member.
Thank you. And Colette, once again, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So we're going to do a review of 3 different sets of minutes and notes. The first, the older one is August 30th. I can't remember why we didn't review this sooner, but
Because the meeting that followed
was
was out in the
outdoor.
woods and it wasn't.
And we
convenient
couldn't
to
do it out
that.
there?
Right.
Okay.
I left that one at home.
So we had a few minutes to look this over before today. Does anyone have a question or comment?
Move to approve.
Well, only the apostrophe S on snows.
Yes, let's remember that Snowsbrook is SNOWS,
No apostrophe?
no
No
apostrophe.
apostrophe.
And that's in Rick's reports too, it's correct,
Okay,
Snowsbrook project.
Okay.
All right. So we had a motion to approve,
Following the apostrophe, yes.
yes,
I'll second that.
all in favor,
Aye.
thank you. August 30th minutes are now approved. The next set of notes is October 3, where we met with Rick Vanderpool outside.
no, this was October 3rd was the
Oh, that was,
special meeting for
oh,
the,
sorry, October 3rd is the special meeting, okay. I got it,
engineering plan there, wetland permit application.
correct. Thank you. Any comments, questions on that one? I was not
Right,
present
you
for
were
this
here.
one.
I think that one looks good.
Yeah, Becca and I wandered around after the meeting. We crawled through all kinds of culverts and it looked fine.
Okay.
All right,
So
Do we have a
someone has to
make a
motion to approve.
Move.
motion. I move to,
I move to approve the minutes of October 3rd.
I'll second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Done. The last set is the October 15th site visit.
And thank you, Jenny, for, you sent me the records of that ahead of time early and I just appreciated that.
Yeah, good. It was quite an informative meeting.
Yes.
So I know all throughout this, I'm sure I have snows with an apostrophe, so I'll go through and make sure. I
Yeah, that
fix
one
that.
was incorrect as well. Yep.
And then I also have referred to lot 32C is our conservation parcel, and the lot that abuts it where we're not sure where the exact boundary line is 32B, and I keep referring to it as 31, so I'll change
Oh,
that. 31 at one point, 31C at another point, so
So that should be.
it should be just
31B.
32B, which is what it is on our tax records.
Oh,
On the subdivision, it's actually lot 30, so how I got 31 is.
okay.
Oh, it was a historical
Yeah,
mix-up.
that was,
Yeah.
and thank you for your letter explaining
Oh.
the whole history of the naming, the nomenclature, and
I'm just pulling it from other sources, but
Oh.
it has been a confusing mess.
okay. So during our outdoor site visit, this is where Rick recommended that Waterville Place get involved. So is anyone there with you or are you alone?
It's just me. So I did communicate. I shared the information that you have given me with my board, and I read your report, and so I'm here representing the board, and I said I would report back out to them and ask what is the next helpful step that we can do, if it's writing a letter of support and who we should write to. And I have a few ideas myself of things that I think might be helpful in that letter. So I'm here to represent the board and, to be a point of contact with them.
Okay, wonderful. So I looked at our letter that we sent, and I didn't think there was much that you could really use from this. But I can definitely share that with you, unless we've already shared that with you. I can't remember.
I received a letter that you did send. And so one or two of the things I was thinking of is I'm not sure. I'm involved in town government in my own town. And actually tomorrow night we're having a planning meeting about municipal vulnerability preparedness. What we see as our vulnerabilities and how do we prepare for that? And it's really something that I think is being done at the direction of both the state government and the federal government to try and help us plan for, what are the effects of climate change when we have these more volatile storms, and you identify them and then you plan to cope with them as best you can. And so from my perspective, it seems that the way forward that you're hoping to address with the forest really is in line with that. And I'm not sure if you as a town have a municipal vulnerability preparedness plan or a climate action plan that ties into this, so that I can say, I definitely feel that this is in line with the direction we should be going as a community, as a town, and as a state and a country. I mean, this is the goals that we're being asked to move forward with. So that was an approach I thought might be helpful, but I'd love to hear what you think would be helpful in our letter and who we should write to.
Yes.
I was here during Irene. I'm not sure if any of the other board members were here
Yes.
during then. I live up on Noon Peak Road, and Irene devastated 49, as we all saw. And had it gone more than what it did, we would have had no egress in or out of here because Triple I Road was closed. And that's something that's always been on the back of my mind, that we should always have another plan on how we are getting out of here, because there is no other road out.
And that's being discussed. The Forest Service and the town are,
They need to.
the highway department are
If I could have
discussing it.
a point of order, this is a very important discussion, but I suggest it doesn't belong in the approval of the minutes of
Oh.
that meeting.
Did we approve the
We
third?
didn't.
We didn't
No,
approve
we're still
the minutes
discussing.
of the field visit, and then I
Yeah.
think I urge that we go on to this very
Yeah.
discussion.
Yes,
As,
For later.
very important point that you made, but let's go back to approving the third set.
Who wants to move?
I can't because I wasn't.
Okay,
You can't. I wasn't there either, so.
I'm not allowed to move.
I think, I wasn't seeing it.
I wrote them. Can I vote?
You're gonna have to go for it.
I move to approve the minutes of October 15th with, as amended.
It's you.
I'll
John.
second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much for all that.
Okay, now let's
Okay.
Now
continue.
back to
So,
climate action planning.
yeah, privilege of the floor, I suppose. Colette has brought up something very significant. And I don't think we can solve the question today,
No.
but we certainly should write it up in our minutes. And
So the letter that you were referring to, I've forgotten which letter that is.
this is the letter to the Forest Service asking them for support of our Snowsbrook project.
Okay. Well, certainly we have discussed and are in general agreement that this Snowsbrook remediation project that would involve diverting a lot of the flooding waters out into its former floodplain is a good thing. And it's far better than letting it gush down into Corcoran's Pond. And in terms of, I don't know if this is actually part of climate change or not, just sort of geological history. The Snowsbrook has been incising itself ever more deeply into its former floodplain, so it is not able to flood as well as it should. And so this project that we've been approached with is a nice solution to diverting some of that overflowing water into various areas where it used to flood and can dump its sediment, including our lot 32C. All that's very good. I think it's possibly a separate issue, but one that this commission certainly should be involved in is in discussing, as was being presented here by Waterville Place, is there some kind of broader plan for various kinds of climate catastrophe, emergency and so forth, that is being done at the town level, and us being the Conservation Commission for the town, it probably should be in some way either anchored from or linked to this organization. And I suppose if there is no such plan, then we might approach that as new business at some point. I have no idea how to do it.
Wasn't that discussed in the natural resource inventory that
Probably.
Rick did a while ago?
Yeah, probably.
Talked about storm
Mhm.
sewers, storm.
Right, storm
And
management.
yes, and didn't think that we were really up to par
Right.
on that.
It's one of the recommendations that he made.
Yeah,
But not specifically for, or maybe it was, in the context of worsening conditions.
conditions, right.
I don't recall all the words, but he certainly talked about 50-year storms.
I
Yeah,
thought
I think-
so.
yeah. Right.
Happening
I think
more
we're
often.
beyond 50 years storms.
Yeah,
Yeah, so.
That's true.
Colette, how did it affect your Waterville Place during Irene?
So we had some erosion to the banks that are closest to we have two buildings there. One of them is set back a little bit further from the water, and one is closer to the water. And there was just a lot of erosion there. And so, one of the things that we keep talking about at the board level is at some point we might have to, shore up the bank there. There's some rocks and things there. We're hoping we don't have to do that because it's extraordinarily expensive. I think that the permit alone, because we border national forest, I think the permit is $5,000, or it certainly was some time ago when we last talked about this. And then, I think the process is quite long. So we really would prefer not to have any more erosion on the bank there. And so, recently we did some recent tree work in the area, and we're trying to, prune trees and etc. But we're very careful about the trees that are on that bank there because they help support that bank. So it's something that we think about. The properties weren't damaged as far as I can remember, but we did have erosion, and we're concerned about that in the future. If there's another storm like that, I think that we might, if we lose more of the stones that are supporting the bank there, we may have to go forward with a permit and some sort of restoration. And I just don't know what the forest is like to deal with and what they would allow us to do. So that's a whole process, and we prefer not to get there. So I haven't, we haven't had a board meeting to discuss this, but I can tell you I'm very supportive of what your plan is, and it seems like a really thoughtful plan to use natural paths to do natural things to stop the sediment, the erosion, and other things like that, and to mitigate the effects of more violent weather patterns. It seems very straightforward and sensible to me.
Right, and Rick did mention that if we do divert the stormwater, it would certainly help Waterville Place. So, like, we got 3 birds in one. So,
So from my perspective, if you can give me some guidance as to what you think of our approach, and so to write a letter to the Forestry Service, to possibly the same point person you wrote your letter to, and if you think it's helpful for me to touch on the fact that this is a municipality preparing for the effects of a more volatile storm and climate actions, and it's something that we're certainly, I can say, in Massachusetts that we're being asked to do. I'm not sure what the state is doing in New Hampshire, but our town received a grant to, first of all, assess our vulnerabilities. So that was maybe 3-4 years ago. And then since we've done that, tomorrow night, we have our kickoff meeting for our mitigation plan. Now that we've assessed our vulnerabilities, and flooding is one of the issues that we have to deal with. And so we have our public sort of kickoff meeting tomorrow night to get people's input, including the institutions that we have in town and things like that. So that's where we are in the process. I'm not sure what the structure is in New Hampshire and what sort of guidance you're having from the state, but we're definitely being asked by our state to start planning for, as a municipality, for these vulnerabilities.
Excellent.
John, do you recall, was there anything in the from the planning board in terms of the master plan on how to prepare for ever more severe storms like along Mad River and some of those condos? Is there anything in that document we could look to get us started on this? I can't remember it myself.
I'll have to look at it again, but I don't believe there is.
Yeah.
I don't think they're.
More government issue town.
Because there was pretty intense flooding in Irene that really washed along the
Yeah.
banks of the Mad River there. It was
Took out the bridges.
Yeah.
took the
Yeah.
bridges out.
Oh, yeah.
Better bridges.
One one of the main recommendations that Rick made in the NRI, that's the natural resource inventory that we have, was securing the culverts.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been after Jim Mayhew to secure, enlarge, replace the culverts, and I think they've done that.
I think
I
some
don't
of
know
them
if
have been.
Some of them
some,
have been.
You know,
I'm not sure about all of them. But we still found those culverts at our lot 32C. And he said, no.
those are not so good.
Those were
yeah.
not in
Yeah.
good condition. So I don't know what we've done about that.
I think we're waiting, it will be part of this
Part of the
stormwater
Mhm.
plan
Yeah.
if it gets approved by the Forest Service. I am happy to look into what the state of New Hampshire is doing and report back at our next meeting as far as what they're asking towns to do for climate.
Yeah.
If there is
Yeah,
climate
if there's any
mitigation.
initiatives like Colette's town in Massachusetts, if there's anything
Could you
going
ask
on.
also if there are grants available?
Yeah,
That would be great.
I know.
I know the culverts, to that issue, the town of Waterville does take care of a lot of them. They are on their repair docket, but because of all the building that's been going on in the valley, they just haven't had a chance to get to them.
Yeah.
And that's, I spoke with Jim in regards to that. That's kind of what's going on with that. So when they'll get to them, I'm not sure, but perhaps we can ask Jim one day to join our meeting and explain it to us.
Charles, to answer your question, page 77 to 79 of the master plan draft addresses floodplains and erosion hazard areas. It shows the floodplain map. And it provides some verbiage around the consideration and citing future development around what that could do to riverbank erosion and so on and so forth. So there's some.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some mention to it, but not a plan of,
Sounds like it's in terms of future
Yeah.
development.
That's, thank you. That's a good start.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and Colette, did you receive a copy of Rick Vanderpool's short report?
I did. It was really interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
I think that's a very detailed analysis of where we are right now. And we're waiting for him to join up with the Forest Service guy anytime before the snow flies.
And I think Jenny was alluding to
tomorrow?
this, if this plan for the remediation of floodwaters on Snowsbrook goes ahead, then intrinsic to that would be replacing and enlarging, I suspect just two of the culverts
Mhm.
along our lot 32C,
Mhm,
the one nearest the bridge, which doesn't really handle too much, and the next one, which covers a big area of floodplain just
Mm.
above the cross-country trail.
Mhm.
And that
Hmm.
bridge there is, I know in the winter time, when they groom that trail, they can only go
Yeah.
part way onto that bridge and then they have to go around and do the other. So that
Hmm.
bridge is not stable for any kind of emergency, use.
Oh, that bridge, okay. That
Right,
wooden
right
bridge.
behind,
Right.
Waterville
Well,
Place.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah, the I don't know what you call the machine that grooms the trails, but it doesn't cross the bridge. They've determined the bridge isn't strong enough for that, but it's still there. We still walk on it, but you don't drive heavy machinery on it.
But in an emergency situation,
Right.
Yeah.
May I ask a question? What's your experience of working with the Forestry Service? Are they responsive to you, or is it a challenging process to engage with them because they're understaffed and underfunded and not got a lot of resources? I'm just curious.
Well, our experience, I should speak for myself, is really through Rick Vanderpool. And he knows, he has a few contacts, and he says it's a very long process. So permits are given first locally, and then they go through the state, then they go through the federal level. So it takes a while. So we don't think we'll see the work started until 2024.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
So all storms should hold off till then. We have the power. All right, is there any way of getting some maps to you? Or if you have the short report, you might have seen Snowsbrook drainage and all those other, I don't know.
I think I've been communicating via email with Eric Levy. Is that you?
Yes, me.
So it's nice to meet you virtually. I'm happy to receive anything by email, and then I'll share with you my phone number, and maybe we can work together offline on a draft letter that we think is
Perfect.
from us to the right people, saying the right things, and then your next meeting, if you want to discuss and approve that before we sort of issue it or give any
Yeah.
feedback, and I don't think you need to approve it, but if you, whatever you think is the best way forward, I can certainly engage with my board and get the support of the whole board behind this. I think I
Right.
shouldn't speak for them, but I can't see that they wouldn't be behind this. I think it's only in our best interests to support your initiative. So I'm happy to work with you offline on that.
Wonderful. So send me an email with your contact info. And yes, we'll work on your draft and probably run it by Mark Dakota, our town manager, since he helped us with this letter. Sound good?
That sounds great. Thank you so much for reaching out, and thanks to Linda Coleman for connecting us. It's nice to meet you all, and thank you for what you do.
Thank you, Colette.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right. Wonderful. That would be very helpful to them. I
Yeah,
thought they had flooding and more damage, but
Well, I
Yeah,
think
so
that
did I.
help in terms of the Forest Service feeling a little pressure to move this along. If they get a letter,
yes,
not only from
yes.
the town, but also from residents that are
residents.
directly threatened.
yeah.
I certainly would encourage that. That would be a
Yeah.
very positive step.
Yeah, no, Rick's suggestion, he said, the more letters
Sure,
you can
Mhm.
get.
sure.
I don't know if there's anyone else in danger off of Snowsbrook.
They're there.
They
I
are,
don't know how that new house is going to be. It's high enough, it seems,
Which
to
one?
not be affected.
Yeah.
32B, is that?
Oh.
the one?
Yeah.
Yeah,
$4 million house.
Whatever. I don't know. Yeah, they seem pretty high up.
I think they're probably.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Probably over time.
I can't think of anything else other than the bridges.
Yeah. So far, so good. We got a response from someone in the forestry that asked for the short report again, so we mailed it again.
Oh, good.
So at least they're on it. All right,
where you going number 4?
Yeah.
Mr. Kelly, have any?
Kelly, do you have anything to add?
I am here to just be more involved and wonder ways that I can support. On a conservation level that is very different from what you're all talking about. I just I'm pretty excited about some cardboard that I took from the Nordic Center over to the Gray Center, and the leaves that I raked up from my condo association before they got taken to the dump. I brought them over there and I'm gonna expand the pollinator garden, so just, the very like literal grassroots, like
Yeah.
literally suppressing the grassroots. Conservation work.
Very good.
Awesome.
Very green. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Stay tuned. It's
Mhm.
basically it.
I have a question for Steve. In regards to yard waste or tree waste, that kind of stuff. I know we have here, we have a burn pile and do we have any other kind of pile that composts anything, or to your knowledge, is it just a burn pile that we have?
I actually.
I can
don't
answer
remember.
that, too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just so, in case people want to know out there.
Yeah, there's the burn pile and then on the other side, there's the compost pile and you're supposed to put, your wood, your brush and wood and stuff in the burn pile and your leaves and grass in the compost.
And anybody through the town can do that?
Yeah, you have to pay for the compost though. You have to pay to dump, and dumping in your woody brush is for some reason free, because I guess burning is free. Or I don't,
Oh,
where the compost
they're
takes some
burning?
work, I don't know.
Value, one is toxic.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know what the rationale is behind the paying or not.
Birch noise included the woody stuff, didn't they?
So they want you to separate it.
Oh, yeah, but they didn't burn it.
They just pile it up indefinitely.
Yeah.
Just a suggestion. If you folks have some recommendations on improvements, now's kind of the time to start funneling them into us with respect to the design of the temporary transfer station that we're gonna be. I think Mark and Jim had their first meeting with the engineering team
Yeah.
about their initial draft plans. So if you folks have any, ideas, I think now's the time to bubble them up to Mark, and you can send them to me too, and I'll make sure that he
Yeah.
gets them, but I have a ton of ideas that I'm gonna be sharing.
Good,
Good.
Yeah.
good.
And
Steve,
sounds.
was that the surveyors that were here that were doing, they were up at Incinerator Road? Is that part of what they're planning down here, or is that something else?
More than likely, if you saw some surveyors up there,
Yeah,
they were a sub for the engineering team to kind of plot out what's gonna happen. up there.
okay, I was wondering if it was the mountain.
No, I saw them about 2 weeks ago up at the transfer station
Okay,
doing some measurements.
thank you.
Okay. All right, can we move to number 5? Is there an update on the water project?
Not really, everything's on schedule. The only item that's a little bit in flux is the generator that we need
Mhm.
up there, because we had such a large lead time. It's still looking like not until May, until we receive that generator. So we're gonna do at the end of December 24th is the contractor's deadline for substantial completion, but then we have to extend until we get the generator and obviously for final completion of the project. But the contractor Bernice has been doing a fantastic job from the town's standpoint and the engineering standpoint, and things are going in a good direction with that project.
What does the generator, what is that for?
I believe the generator will be able to support the, I think it's building pump house number 2. Don't quote me on that though, but it has something to do with the pumping of the water to make sure that in the event of a power outage, the generator kicks on and
Mhm.
everything works as should.
So it's a backup power source, so it wouldn't go
Correct.
on. Okay, and then.
Thank you.
Yep.
Ducks on.
Yeah, when we wrote the agenda, ducks were an issue, and I think it's been resolved.
They migrated.
I think they're gone, yeah. I did have a conversation, I think it might have been the same day as the meeting later, with Brooke, who had the select board meeting that this Top of the Ducks came up at. She was actually at a meeting at the State House doing something. And part of the discussions were about wildlife and contaminating, ducks and ponds, basically. And she said that the bottom line is, it's a real tough problem. There's no easy answer.
Mhm.
You just have to try to discourage them from sticking around with false food sources, because if they don't have food, they won't stay. They'll go elsewhere and find other places. But she said it's just there's no easy solution. And
Floating an artificial alligator in the pond. I'm serious, I've seen places do that.
yeah,
They floated the heads of alligators.
And we've seen in Michigan along, up in St. Ignace, they have cutouts of coyotes. Do you remember seeing that at the marina?
And alligators.
Yeah,
I saw the alligator at the,
I'm not so sure. I've heard conflicting
that?
things.
Oh, yeah, he's been there for a while,
Yeah.
but I've seen it at other places
Yeah.
that they've used it.
Well, there's an idea,
yeah.
cheap idea.
I have a question about the ducks. Has the Las Hacienda been talked to about stop feeding them?
They were feeding them.
Who
Well, yeah,
was?
They're like chips at the end of the day. They're throwing out all.
Oh,
their corn chips.
no.
Well, Jeepers didn't know
Jeepers.
that.
Wow.
Yeah, they're being fed.
Oh,
by
no.
John's
We
Food.
thought they were guests feeding them.
No,
Mm.
it's the restaurant.
Okay,
Oh
we can
my
stop this
gosh. Yeah,
right now.
yeah. So Brooke did say that next year, there probably will be some sort of, even though we have enough signs in town to make your head spin, it might be some sort of a sign effort around the shore.
Yeah.
yes.
And
that's
is it
good
a
idea.
problem? I see kids throwing things in the pond a lot, wood, of course, plastic bottles and things, and I thought these kids were learning
right,
about
yeah.
environmental issues and conservation in school. I mean, I have great nephews who know not to do that.
Yeah.
A son that knows not to do that because they had it at school.
Okay.
Rebecca, we have people that, adults that walk in town and instead of taking this and throwing it in the trash, leave it on the ground.
Yeah.
I've picked them up,
Yeah,
even here at the dumpsters.
Seen that.
Oh, wow.
it's mind boggling, isn't it?
Yeah, it's frustrating,
That's a
it's
wow.
frustrating.
So are you recommending that we put up some signs?
No,
or-
Brooke was just talking about, as we approach next season,
Yes,
what we
Right.
can possibly do and.
Well,
and
talk to
possibly
La
putting up
Hacienda.
Just talk about Las Hacienda and see. if-
Yeah,
That's-
that's,
Wow.
Thank you for your
Thanks,
observation.
Kelly.
I mean, this is, I haven't been here as long as many people, but this is the first year I remember seeing the ducks stick around in that pond for a long time.
Yeah,
Mm.
too.
Because you see them in various wet spots around town
right.
and then they kind of go on their merry way, but they were there straight through the fall.
That could be,
That could be it.
Chips, man, all that salt, they're
Yeah.
cooked now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do we wanna,
Well, I think
send
we
a
can,
letter?
we can maybe let
Just call,
the town know, let
or would that
Mark
be
or Dave
something?
Noyes or Brooke or
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
has been going on.
So do we fill out one of those forms? I'm serious. How do
Observation
you
form.
what steps should we take? We should take some
Right.
We
steps.
should do something.
Yes, that's what I'm looking for.
speak with Brooke and
Do we ask Brooke or do we?
where she's kind of,
Well, it's not,
But-
I mean, it's the restaurant.
First, I think a first soft approach would be a nice letter coming from your committee.
From the Conservation
Okay.
Commission,
Yeah.
yeah.
And, get that out early, early next year. And if we see in
Yeah.
the spring that it picks up again, then kick it up to us so we can.
Okay.
Just let them know that it's
Okay.
contributing to the
Yeah,
bacteria.
What
bacterial
we
count in
could
the pond.
do, sort of, rather than just signaling, or,
Singling. out
singling
someone.
out one
Yeah.
to all of the
Yeah.
area
That's probably. a better-
businesses.
Yes.
yeah,
yeah,
Anyone who sells food.
town square,
Restaurants.
Yeah.
Okay.
good idea.
Maybe all the restaurants could have a don't feed the ducks sticker in the window or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that in places where there's. a lot of
Yeah.
Ducks.
yeah.
And maybe you could gear it just to wildlife too in general. You might want to stress the ducks, but.
Right.
Point.
Right, yeah.
Especially I heard
We
about
live
the
in the
bear
bears.
feeding.
Don't feed the bears. Yeah.
I don't feel the wildlife.
Okay, we'll put this on the back burner, but we
Yeah.
can't forget about it.
So can we just,
Make a motion?
can we make a motion maybe to bring it up again
And,
in our next meeting? Table it so we can
yeah,
discuss it further, who to approach.
Or
You got a good idea.
we can put it on the agenda for the next meeting, which will be in January.
Do you have an action plan that you keep running? Of some sort that you can just drop the little items into it and
Oh.
revisit it every meeting?
You are pointing out my inadequacies right now.
Sorry. I can see.
I can
well
talk to-
organized,
I can talk to the person who takes minutes.
Yeah, I'll put it in the
Advice.
minutes that we will take
Yes.
this up.
We will,
Yeah,
we will not forget.
That's good. No,
if we keep talking about it. We'll
Yeah.
have-
Yeah.
Come up with
Yeah.
solutions or.
I still would like to see a critter proof bin of some sort for trash,
Oh.
and they are available. I've seen them in rest areas in Canada.
Well, they're at all the parking areas and, all around the state.
Yeah,
of course.
so why is it a problem?
The problem is it's the town and the mountain.
Yeah,
We know what. The town's not gonna buy them because it's the mountain's land and. It's just, how do we approach that? How do we correct that?
yeah.
Maybe another letter.
Charles, any ideas? I can see your,
Um, I don't think there needs to be any sense of. Hostility, town versus mountain on garbage. I mean, I suppose it could emerge that way. But if we approach it. As something that needs to be done and. The mountain owns the land, the town.
So
is
what do we
around
do?
it.
Suggest that they buy a,
Maybe we communicate to both town and mountain, that there needs to be. A critter-proof trash system placed around the town where people come and gather and have to deal with their trash. Somehow it seems like for the last year or two, this has been going on unsolvable because. Of a sense that town and mountain won't talk to each other. And I know folks at the mountain, I know folks at the town, I just don't get it. I don't understand why there's this perception of there's a huge gulf between them. I mean, there's a common interest. Neither party wants trash getting dumped all around our town square. And I guess, I don't know if it needs to be, perhaps it should be this commission that sends a letter to both the town and the mountain that this needs, maybe with a recommendation about what kinds of
what to buy, yeah.
proof bins
yeah.
are out there, and you can
Well, I
get them,
have some.
get them at
information.
Walmart on Sundays on special. I don't know.
not
They're
right,
expensive
We have approached that.
with the big
And-
belly.
with the big belly, that
There
was,
was no one wanted to touch it.
no one wanted to spend $5,000
Well,
on
that is
a,
a lot. I understand being
Yeah.
gun shy of 5,000.
Well, that's okay, but spend something on
I
a
mean,
bear proof.
Is there something less
Latch.
than a big belly that?
I'm sure
Yeah.
there is.
Yeah,
Good
Yeah,
heavens.
of course.
Does the state of New Hampshire spend
okay.
$5,000 on big bellies all over the rest areas? I doubt it.
Well, I volunteer to look into that.
okay,
Okay,
Becca, thank you.
Good.
So
Moving
critter
right along.
bins.
Critter safe bin, something like that.
one of the things too that the town does in town is, we talked about that, they do take a lot of the trash barrels in at night.
At night, yeah, yeah.
So that was their answer of handling it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a
But
right
I was-
answer, but
There recently when there were people all over, when it was still warm and
Yeah.
there was no place to put any trash.
right,
Taking the
I
bin
brought
back
it home.
doesn't-
So there needs to be something visible that doesn't have to be brought in
Yeah.
every night.
Mhm. Okay, so we'll wait
So,
for your research
Okay.
and
so we'll put that on the agenda for the
for next
Mhm.
time,
next meeting, to talk about that, otherwise it's gonna
Yeah.
be a loss.
right. Critter safe. Trash bins, okay.
Some of them I've had trouble figuring out how to open. I have to ask Chippewa Nature Center. That's where I couldn't figure out how
Yeah.
to get it into the trash.
All right. Thank you for that. Do we have an update on the violations that were reported to Chief Noyes? One of them was sediment runoff at building sites, Cascade Brook, and the site near 32C. Did we, I haven't heard anything.
I haven't heard anything either. And Chief Noyes or Mark aren't here to give us a report, but I can say that at building site 32B, they did put in a sediment fence
Yeah.
on
noticed
the
that
house
too.
side of the trail. So on the stream that is
Right
on the
behind.
house side of the trail is protected now. However, I thought there should also be one on the other side because dirt flows down the hill straight across the trail, and there's also a lot of contamination in the stream on the other side, but they did not add anything on the other side, so I need to follow up.
Yeah.
On that, nothing has been done at the one up on Cascade Ridge. That's exactly the same as when I.
It was months
That
ago.
one's bad,
Yeah.
That one is
Yeah.
bad.
And.
and I'm really upset that no one's doing anything about it.
Well,
And then the Golden Heights Road one, they are
Mhm.
today and yesterday, as
Yeah.
a matter of fact, they're. Improving they're doing their underground culvert work in that area,
Okay.
so. They're I don't know
noticed
if,
that Yesterday.
no, if Chief Noyes or maybe it was Chris Hodges visited them and said you need to.
mhm.
Move this to the top of your list, or if it was just on their schedule to get it done now, I don't know.
So the ground freezes.
Yeah, so.
Oh, okay,
So one project is taken care of, one is half taken care of, and one is still being ignored.
Where's the lot up on Cascade? I haven't been up there for a while.
Do you know the Lower Snows Cross Country Trail? You know where the Sununu's house
Yeah,
is?
down
So
there.
the new one that's going in right below the.
Oh, there's
Sununu's.
another one going in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
I was thinking it was the one above where Zamboni's and Chrysopolis used to live
oh, no,
up there. Okay,
There,
mhm.
it's right below Sununu's house, and it,
okay.
you know, they've disturbed the earth and it just would run straight down into the, it's an intermittent stream. It's probably got water in it now, but like in August,
It was
it might have been dry.
Right.
But it's certainly wet during wet times of year, and spring runoff, it will just,
okay.
yeah.
I need to take a ride.
Is that where they had some bales of straw?
They didn't have any pails. They had a small
What did
sediment
we-
fence.
Yeah,
They had
yeah,
a small sediment fence with some hay, tucked
yeah,
at the
just hay
bottom.
tucked
Yeah.
in, which was, yeah.
Oh, I did, one of the parts on the Golden Heights Road one, so this, along Golden Heights Road, they're handling that. But nothing has been done on the stream side of that project,
Mm.
and there's definitely, I have a picture, I took it today. They have the silt socks, the green
Mhm.
bales. It's failing in a spot, and there's sediment in the stream down there, and you know, it's only gonna get worse. There is, if you have spare time, the DES website has stormwater manuals, 3 volumes,
Mm.
hundreds of pages. But there is, volume 3 is all about stormwater and erosion
Mhm.
control, and a lot in there about
Mhm.
construction sites,
Right.
and it's kind of
Yeah,
fascinating to
Yeah.
read and to,
Mhm.
so hay bales. They're very temporary. They're supposed
Yeah.
to be inspected or replaced every 6 months.
Mm.
I mean, some of these things have been in place for well over a year, never inspected.
Yeah.
And construction site, there's all sorts of rules about construction sites, and we just follow none of them in this town. It's ridiculous. You know, no entrance and exit preparation to keep sediment on the site as
Mhm.
opposed to all around town. And I don't know if anyone else is sick of looking at that stuff, but this isn't a matter for us, but I was just,
right.
in there is
Well-
the whole stormwater
Well-
stuff, so,
If you remember what Rick told us.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Anyway, so I guess
Thank
maybe just follow, I guess I can
Hmm.
follow up with Mark and Dave Noyes to see.
I need to
see if there's any progress
Yeah.
there. Okay. Well, thank you for that. So we don't have an update on the Snowsbrook project. We're still waiting for Rick to tell us that he took the Forest Service person with him to assess the mitigation project.
When was that going to happen?
He didn't have a date. He said anytime soon.
This fall?
Yes.
Jim, when you, follow up with them, would you let me know?
Yeah,
I'd like to join you.
okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't want you going there alone.
Big
He
John,
doesn't want her to go in alone. He will accompany her.
I think we all should, really.
yeah,
Because
I know, it's just,
you don't get any, yeah, I'll look into it, but that's all you get. It's just,
all right, so. Number 8,
Okay.
let's follow up on the logo and signature. For letterhead, the LA stands for land acknowledgement for the
Land,
signs.
yeah.
So Becca brought in,
this is
A
the
few
one that
copies.
we all agreed upon. And I was suggesting for the land acknowledgement to possibly keep with the circle and put it at the lower
right,
there.
and they would be,
Um,
can you see this? Oh, you see
Yeah.
this? Can you see this way? All right, so the land acknowledgement would be very tiny, because it's two long sentences.
Yeah,
And that's okay. We don't need them legible from the road. It should be legible for pedestrians, for hikers.
Mhm.
So that's what we're thinking this way. Sound good?
and then I had a question, Steve, about the town sign regulations and who does your sign making, so that we can give them what we'd like to do and they can print up some sort of an example for us to approve. Is that
I'm happy to facilitate
Awesome.
if you want.
Okay.
I've used Megaprint, they're down in Holden.
yeah,
Assembly.
we know them.
They did the trail signs for that most recent trail that goes through the Frisbee. field.
Yeah, okay,
And I was very impressed with the materials they use and the quality of the
Yeah.
design. They gave me proofs in advance and for perfectly honest, I think they were quite reasonable too, so.
hmm
And that type of material seemed pretty durable and maybe something you want to consider. For this sign, were you thinking of having it on a post or were you thinking of having them tacked to? I hate to say it,
no, I don't think we would tack them to a tree.
I just didn't know what the.
I couldn't personally do that with good
Post.
conscience.
It might depend, honestly, on where we are. We might want to have the option to do either.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
So-
for starters, I guess to mark where the land is,
Yeah.
as you come out, we've talked about as you come
Mhm.
out of the tunnel. And it starts there on the right, just a post
Mhm.
with,
Yeah.
and we'd like to keep the circle
Yeah.
part of it and have them design something that wouldn't be too large or too obtrusive.
Sure.
So, okay, well then,
Let me give you, I'm sure, I'm gonna give you a couple of examples. so
Oh,
you can kinda
good.
get an idea of what the size is.
okay,
Sounds good.
good, thank you.
I'm not locked down in my.
Right,
office.
right. And then that's very good. Making some progress with that.
Yeah.
And
What was it called? Megaprint?
Yeah.
Megaprints, yeah,
Mega prints?
Mega
Megaprint,
Megaprint.
rent.
Megaprint, they're on 175
Okay.
there. Wilderness.
so,
Um,
yeah, the other question was the whole designation of green belt. Are we officially green belt at 32C?
We are Greenbelt, but not the Greenbelt.
We know we're not the green
We're
belt
part
because
of-
there's other
we're part
green
of the
belts.
Greenbelt zone.
We are
zoning.
a green belt.
We are zoned as Greenbelt.
Okay,
okay,
all right.
So
that's good.
it's
That's
a
fine.
mistake to refer to it as the Greenbelt, which I did a few times.
You're entitled to make a little
But I've
mistake.
learned. And so it is,
no,
It is a
unacceptable.
and I find it a nice term, honestly.
Me too.
And I don't know. I guess it doesn't really belong on the sign.
So, we've
Yeah.
seen a couple of signs. I've taken photos of greenbelt designations.
That's a
I
great
like that.
size right there.
That's a great
Oh,
size.
that's
right
neat.
there.
That's
Yeah.
18 inches.
Yeah,
That's
Wow.
neat.
that's big. Well, when I measured the one out front at the entrance sign, I told you we're 18 inches. No, they're not that big. Once you were driving
That's
by, it
nice.
doesn't look that
It
big,
doesn't.
but this is perfect. Yeah.
I like that size.
Do you want something that?
I
large?
mean, that seems kind of
It
big to
seems
me.
kind of big,
It
doesn't it?
seems, but
Yeah.
when it's at a distance.
Well,
But
let's,
if you're only seeing it when you walk through the tunnel, that's definitely big. If you're,
let's
it's-
think about where
Yeah.
we're gonna put these.
Yes.
One of these, as you walk through the tunnel, would be along that sort of grassy embankment
Yeah.
field.
Right,
But it's gonna have to be down, I think, a ways, 50, 100 feet down.
I agree, yeah.
Because the our boundary is, I think, some distance away from
Yeah.
the trail there.
So closer to where we
So-
walk across
Yeah.
the culvert, down that way.
Not that far, but down the,
Yeah,
down
Yeah.
there.
yeah. And so that's a sign that you can justify being fairly big.
yes,
I thought about putting one or two signs as you walk along the trail past the giant mansion. And our land is off to the right. The mansion owners have sort of slashed part of the forest that's on their land. And where their slash ends, our land begins. And I thought of putting one or two signs just along that property line
mhm,
to designate everything back there in that essentially unappealing wetland area. Nobody wants to walk back there much of the year, but to point out that that is conservation land.
mhm.
And then we would need maybe just one more down towards the southern end of our lot, towards the Snows Brook Bridge,
Right.
where I
Right.
suggested we have a path starting. It actually already has started,
yeah.
and somewhere in there, there would be a path, and
Yeah.
this would be probably oversized, honestly, but I don't see any great harm in it.
So you're talking,
Obviously, they can come in any diameter that we.
right.
Yeah.
You're talking maybe 3
Um,
signs.
Yeah,
well, three
No
or
less.
four.
No, three or four,
I'd
yeah.
probably go with four.
Yeah.
Okay.
I,
So,
I'd put one, there's a wooden stake that is in fact a corner that's set back from the trail. We've walked to it.
yeah,
It's improperly marked. It's not too far from the one you took down on the tree.
mhm.
There's a wooden
Can I do
corner
that?
stake in there.
Yeah, we-
Was taken down. Let's just
it
make
was
it
taken down.
intransitive. That was removed. Okay, and I would probably put one there. And maybe put one somewhere along that straightaway closer going towards the tunnel. I don't know. I could see putting two in there and then one at either end, basically. We could put as many as
Yeah.
four.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, maybe that's
Say
overkill.
3
I'm
to
not sure.
4.
I think.
If
that-
they are set back,
Right.
they should be bigger.
Yeah,
Mhm.
or
because
maybe-
the two that are parallel to the trail are gonna be at a distance back. And their only purpose is to call attention to this is Waterville Conservation Land.
Yeah, right.
Okay,
There's no trail back there that people are gonna walk because you
Yeah.
went over your ankles.
You know,
right,
could I
yes,
take
Oh,
this
good.
and go to the
Yes.
site and
Yes.
maybe hold it up and see if
Yeah, and
it's,
stand back.
yeah.
I'll take my walker and we'll come
Okay.
here
We'll wait till you get, on your polls before we do that.
we can do that.
next week.
If
But
we can't do
we
it,
could do, yeah.
We could do it.
Do
Yeah.
that and
We could
just
do that.
see.
People on the-
great idea, thank you
Yeah.
for lending us that.
Thanks.
Yeah. So is there any way, it would have to be a different sign if we included the word greenbelt, it would have to be a different sign. We can't put greenbelt on that.
Wow.
Well, what I haven't.
Whoops.
Whoa,
Whoops.
what am I
Nice
doing?
catch.
Wow.
Nice
Good
catch.
is.
Um,
Well,
this calls attention to who owns the land.
right,
Mhm.
we could just
Do
say,
we want to have once we get our, our highway put in, once we have, if we have a path that we want to call attention
Uh-huh.
to people to walk. We want to have some other kind of a sign
Mhm.
addressing this as a footpath.
Hmm.
I haven't
Mhm.
thought about it, honestly.
Okay. Okay.
Well, and you could move this down and just put land. Couldn't you? So that it reads Waterville Valley Conservation Commission land.
Mhm.
Would that be an option?
Possible.
I just have to go on the record that I'm not a fan of a lot of signs and this is starting to freak me out,
Oh.
like 4
Yeah.
signs.
Yeah,
along this, like
yeah.
Yeah.
stretch of like 100 yards and
Mm.
I'm just thinking about. I did a hike today in the Squam Lakes area and so they have, the kiosk at the beginning of the trail, which is great.
Yep.
So. Maybe when you come through the tunnel down, you have a big sign with all the info and then
Mm.
they just go down to little diamonds.
Yeah,
And they
Okay.
just have their the logo isn't on all the diamonds once you start, but it's just on a couple of diamonds.
Mhm.
It's very small
Okay.
and you have
Yeah.
to get right up to it
yeah,
to
Yeah.
read that it says Squam
Yeah.
Lakes, but.
Okay,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, the
Okay.
path could be marked just by a few of these
Yeah,
diamonds.
that's just me.
yeah.
But if you guys all
No,
want big old
thank you,
signs.
thank you.
everywhere,
No, I don't agree with that either. I mean, this is weight, I
I
think.
think the
weight
most
bigger.
important thing is to designate the boundary between the mansion and the green belt property, the
at the end of the
conservation.
trail there.
Yeah,
Because it's really, right now, it's a bit confusing on what's,
Yeah.
And if we
What?
put one of these down by that corner wooden stake,
down in the
That-
corner, yeah, because that's
that-
pretty far
that
down.
marks 2 lines, it's set back from the trail,
Yeah.
but it,
Mhm.
There may be something smaller along the actual trail that we ski on.
yeah.
I mean, this seems big enough to me, or
Yeah,
right
Yeah,
Yeah,
here.
I agree.
well,
well,
let's,
we
you're
could look at
gonna
it anyway.
investigate the trail and put up a sign and we'll hold up the paper and.
Yeah,
Yeah,
kind of-
I think we could go
Do
a bit
one-
smaller than that.
yeah,
Yeah,
for the main one and then.
and then
even
smaller for
smaller
the,
For
yeah.
the, yeah,
Well, here and there, you see like up above North Face, there are various sort of bootleg accesses to the Jennings Cross Country Trail that parallels North Face. And there are a few places up there, when you walk through it, you see, I think it's a Forest Service sign identifying the boundary of the
Yes.
forest. You're now entering
Mhm.
White Mountain National Forest.
yes,
And you can read it because you have to walk right this close to it.
That's right.
You're right
Yeah.
there, so you see it. So that serves a purpose.
Okay, so we'll walk the property with different,
yeah,
keeping that in mind. One big one, few small ones.
And I think I retract my ignorant comment that since this is set a ways from the tunnel, it should be bigger. I don't think it needs to be big. I
Okay,
mean, there's no signs there. It's just, I mean, you're
right.
gonna see it.
yeah,
So, yeah, let's go for a smaller one
yeah.
and
Yeah.
maybe 3 of them.
Mhm.
One at each end
Okay.
and one somewhere in the middle.
So Rebecca, let us know when you're going and we can put a
Okay.
shout out to the whole committee.
Yeah,
And
sure.
if everyone's,
We can meet and
Yeah.
see what it looks like.
yeah, good idea.
Okay.
Thank you
Jenny,
for
at
that.
Squam Lake, did you happen to notice what they were adhering to,
The trees,
the trees?
nailed right into the trees, yeah.
I'm not sure I like that, but I know many signs
Yeah.
are in the trees.
Yeah, yeah, they're done,
Did they ask permission of the tree before they did that?
I don't think it really is. Depending on when you do it and what the dangers are. There's like in the Midwest, you don't want to ever break the bark of oak trees between about in certain months.
Insects or something, yeah,
Nothing breaks the bark.
okay.
Pruning or nails or anything,
Uh-huh.
but other than that,
Can we think of it as a piercing when these kids get their lips pierced and their ears and their noses and.
if the tree is healthy, it will actually grow out around. this side.
Feel it.
And it'll just go right over it.
Yeah,
I would think you'd want to do it when the sap is down
Down, yeah.
too.
and then if it's the Conservation Commission representing this. Will do we want to do the right thing and what
Yeah.
is the right thing? So you're gonna have to study.
I will have to study that, yes,
Okay,
okay.
take a note.
Just my only point was. I think that the smaller you go, the less opportunity you have to, from an aesthetic standpoint, adhere it to like a 4x4 pressure treated
Right,
column.
Yeah,
right,
You may want to go with something thinner if you're not gonna put it on a tree. You guys know.
Yeah.
this, I'm just
yeah.
thinking Off the top of my head.
Input's good.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
The
thank you,
More the
Steve.
better, yeah.
All right. And Steve, do you have any follow-up on the transfer station project?
Not from what I've already explained,
Okay.
I think we had our first kind of design meeting with the engineer team. And Jim and Mark reviewed the initial plans that they have drawn up.
Mhm.
Like I had indicated, I have some selfish thoughts about. You know, what I think we need to include up there in terms of keeping our attendants comfortable.
Yeah.
And, you know,
yeah,
so plumbing, obviously we wanna
yeah,
have a bathroom up there for our personnel who are attending the station. Internet, I want telephones, I wanna be able to reach the person up there. Definitely, I'm hoping to, you know, work with Mark and
Sure.
Jim on providing a little more of a comfort level than what we have currently
Yeah,
for our attendees, because we'll have to have, it sounds like we'll have to be staffing it, you know, at a minimum of 40 hours a week. Compared to, you know, what we're doing now is more along the lines of 30, 32. And with the hours of operation, we're gonna wanna more than likely extend those operational hours into the weekend, so. It might take more than one 40-hour-a-week person to accommodate the staffing levels up there, even though if it is only 40 hours.
Mhm.
It might be a staggered 40 hours, and I'm always a big believer of giving all of our employees 2 consecutive days off in a row. And this project might not allow us to do that with one person, so.
yeah.
Oh,
jeez.
Steve, are they putting gates up to close it at definitive times?
Correct,
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good,
yeah. So we're gonna, you know, there'll be set hours of operation.
good.
Outside of that, residents or out of towners won't be able to utilize the transfer station.
Has there been any discussion, and this isn't really for this, but has there been any discussion about what that might look like yet? Like what days, what times, or anything like that, or has that not come up yet?
It has, but
Oh,
loosely, you
yeah.
know, in the selectmen's meetings, they were thinking Sundays would be a good day. Like the off days that we're not currently open,
Yeah,
but nothing really concrete, Jenny.
yeah,
You know, and then from our standpoint too, you know, we do have a little bit of an AR issue. Because we do have somewhat of an honor system program right now. If someone drops a mattress off and doesn't have payment, we can do kind of a
Yeah,
IOU, so I'm hoping that we can. You know, maybe steer that in a different direction and have the capabilities to take payment up there, you know, now with all forms of payment, credit cards.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
That kind of thing. And then there's been discussion, how are we going to identify, a vehicle whom has the rights to dump at the station, whether it's a placard that you hang from your
Uh-huh.
rear view or a sticker or,
Mhm.
you know, I guess there's multiple different options we can go in there, but. That's gonna take, you know, some training
Wow.
for our employees to,
Mhm.
how do we, you know. What kind of communication do we give someone who comes up without a sticker and, you know,
Mhm.
the security cameras that we're gonna have to relocate up there. So. And the way that I look at it too is. We're under this executive order to make it happen, you know, by the fall of next year.
Right.
It's gonna have to be open through the construction of the wastewater treatment plant. And I guarantee you, probably another 2 or 3 years after that.
Yeah.
Until we're able
Oh.
to identify more of a permanent kind of a solution, so. Although it's interim, it, you know, you're probably
Long-
looking at 6 or
long
7
term
years.
interim, yeah.
yeah,
To
5,
me,
6
that's
years, yeah. That's a
a good
long
chunk
time.
of time.
Yeah,
Have
So-
they talked about charging for the permit?
Yeah,
I think it's a smart
Yeah.
thing.
yeah,
Mhm.
the sticker,
At our home in Maine, we had to pay an annual fee, not that
Yeah.
it was enormous.
right,
And you had to have your sticker, which was dated, so you
Mhm.
know that it expired and you needed to get another one because you couldn't go.
what did it have, Cindy, just a year on it?
had the year, every year, you'd
Yeah,
have to go to
change
town
colors.
hall, pay,
Yeah.
you know,
Kind of like
and
your inspection sticker.
Yep.
yeah, yeah, you'd have to bring your registration in or whatever, you know, depended.
Yeah.
So, yep, it was a smart thing to do, and the gate was back enough. My concern is here. Are people going to go, and this has nothing to do with us, or kind of, but
Mhm.
yet,
Yeah.
to go to the condos and use their
Their
They
facilities?
totally will, because they do that now,
do
but
already.
it's gonna be up to the condos are gonna have to either decide
eye
to get rid of their dumpsters or secure them.
Mhm.
Well, you know where I stand on dumpsters, but
How many dumpsters will be at this interim station?
I don't know for sure, but I wouldn't imagine we'd be looking to take any away from our current.
So you want to take all of those and put it up there?
I would hope so.
Well, I can't even see where the truck would have room to turn around and do its thing.
So there's some land up there that
Wow.
the town owns that has a lot of trees on it.
Okay.
So
Oh, we're gonna
looking
lose.
to
lose
clear
more
cut some
trees.
land.
It's a decent amount, yeah.
Yeah.
To move a truck
Okay.
around.
Yeah.
It's a trade-off. I mean, we gotta do this.
Okay,
Yeah, there's really no option.
more trees. Okay,
What, what do we need to weigh on in terms of what we would like to see done with this new station? Do we want to talk about, leaves and brush or something, as we talked about earlier? Or do we have any recommendations or
Yeah, I think,
input?
I think
Steve said he
Kelly's
had some ideas.
interested and
Well,
Steve
more
has-
of my staffing.
On the
I can-
personnel,
on the
yeah.
Personnel, yeah.
Yeah.
If you guys have any. Where I live in Barnstead, I don't go to our transfer station. I use a pickup service, so I don't have firsthand experience at a transfer station to see what might work and what
Mm.
doesn't, but.
I have another question. Has it ever been discussed to do away with the dumping dumpsters and do compacting dumpsters? They get hauled out on,
Yeah,
Yeah.
compactors and.
Think
has
about-
that come up at all ever? Anyone ever suggested that?
Ideally, Jim and Mark, once they have a permanent place for this transfer station, yes. they
That
want-
would be,
They,
okay,
they want to emulate that kind of a compactor system.
Yeah.
for, household, I don't know if it's necessary, but cardboard for sure, like a baler of some sort was discussed. But again, once we get into a permanent situation, where we
Yeah.
can accommodate this kind of equipment.
Mhm.
I don't think initially, Jenny, that's gonna be the direction.
yeah, the interim will just
Right.
be,
Yeah.
We could
Yes.
get one in our new kitchen, a compactor.
Yes, so,
What happens to leaves, like all the leaves that are sucked up in the Noon Peak Association?
Well, that's up to Belknap or Three Lakes, whoever,
Whatever they do.
whatever
Mine
they
are in the
do with
garden.
them.
yes,
Do they truck them back to Tilton? I don't-
They might,
They do.
do
they
they?
might, yeah.
Somebody dumps up at the parking lots up at the ski area too.
oh,
someone did in Town Square dumps in Town Square in their parking lots. It's an eyesore.
Good brush.
Yes. Everything, there's piles and piles and piles of it.
Huh.
Hmm.
And with the wetlands application here,
yes,
it's still an application. We haven't seen the permit be approved yet. so.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, we had
Yeah.
to fill out an application for the permit,
Right.
so, okay, great.
Well,
Can
that was
we-
a good follow-up.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you for that, Steve.
You're welcome.
Date of next meeting, I'm looking at January unless somebody wants to meet during Christmas, during the holidays.
Probably not.
January would be good.
Yep. We all agree.
The 13th is a Friday, I think,
Yeah,
is that right? Okay. Do you want to meet that Tuesday or the Tuesday after that?
I don't know. I might not be here on Tuesday, the 10th. But
Okay.
I think I should be back on the 17th.
Okay, can we look at the 17th of January?
We can.
Okay.
I'm not gonna be able to make it.
Oh,
What?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I already have a pre-engagement. Sorry.
That far ahead?
Yes, yep,
Can't you
sorry.
just Zoom us?
Oh, I could Zoom you.
okay,
Maybe. No, I can't. If this doctor, no, I don't think so.
No, no, hold on,
No.
Doc.
Sorry.
Hold on, Doc. I
Yeah,
have a meeting.
Hold on, Doc, yeah.
I'll
No,
have him join you. in the meeting.
he probably would.
All right.
Sorry,
Can we have a motion to adjourn?
we do.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks,
Thanks, Steve.
Steve. Good to
Same
see
here.
you.
Thanks for your input.
Anytime.